Hello and welcome back to the Footballing Question. This is episode 19 of season 4, I believe now. As you might have noticed, there's 2 of us on this couch this time, and there's a very special reason for that. Today we are joined by KWEKU AFARI. How's it going, man?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good.
Not too bad. Very excited to have you here. Very, very excited indeed.
Yeah, so just to sort of give a preview of what you do, you know, TalkSport, SkySports, you've got your podcast, WeTalkFootball.
Yeah.
Just want to give a bit of an overview of what else you're up to.
Yeah, you've pretty much nailed it there. So work at TalkSport. I do like broadcasting, so stuff in front of the camera and microphone and producing as well. I've got a Thursday night show called Kickoff, which is presented by Hugh Woozencroft, Martin Samuel and Darren Lewis. And then do bits with TalkSport, do bits for Sky Sports, do bits for ESPN, and I'm a Chelsea fan, so I work at Chelsea as well. So I'm doing bits here and there.
Am I right in thinking you were in our position not long ago? As in making your own podcast and then you've gone from there?
Yeah. So that's probably what I should plug first. The podcast, I do the WeTalkFootball podcast. Probably not as active as we should be. It happens when work kind of mixes in with stuff you do on the side. But yeah, I do the WeTalkFootball podcast and my co-host Jamie. Been doing that for the last 2.5 years. So I started it during the pandemic, to be fair. So 2020. Was jobless, wasn't working, lost my job at the beginning of the pandemic, and then started a podcast, just chatting football with my mate, and kind of went from there and managed to get work in these places, and it's probably the catalyst for my career right now, starting a podcast, and yeah, I enjoy it.
And maybe at the start, being a sports journalist wasn't your initial intention, maybe, and now it certainly is. We want to be sports journalists. We want to get to where you are now. What would be your advice for us and anyone else out there that wants to get to where you are?
Well, you guys are smashing it already. You've got these professional cameras right now. I feel like I'm on the set of Sky Sports. You guys are really.
We're very lucky.
I mean, yeah, we are jamming at the moment with this setup.
How old are you guys?
20.
So I got into the industry when I was 27. I'm 29 right now. I turned 30 in August. I feel pretty old. So yeah, you guys are just doing the right thing in terms of doing your own thing on the side. You're obviously studying journalism, whatever at uni, but you're doing something on the side which shows will and initiative, and that's what people love to see. So obviously it's a very competitive industry, and I think I got very lucky in terms of getting into it. But you guys having your own podcast and putting out content, that's the best way to start, and people will notice it eventually, and you will get to where you need to get to. But it's kind of like, I don't know, it's weird being back in, I went to Brighton Uni as well. I started in 2012, so yeah, it's over a decade ago, and I did business. I was on this campus in Mithras House, and yeah, it just feels weird being back here. I now live back in Brighton, which is nice, but being back in this uni just definitely bringing back nostalgia.
Yeah, we were trying to find you. You said it was at Elm House or anything. We had no idea
Yeah,
where it was.
Buildings and everything, yeah.
Unless anyone has any other questions, I'd like to get going with the episode. Obviously, we start with our opening question normally, so I'll pose the question to you straight away. This week, what is your favourite football chant? Now, as a Chelsea fan, I'm going to hazard a guess. Yeah. Is it Chelsea? Chelsea?
Yeah. Do you know
Chelsea.
what? We get a lot of stick and flack for that. Yeah. But it's almost like a war cry, and it's almost kind of like we've taken ownership of the fact that other clubs mock us for it, other fans of other clubs mock us for it. It's something that unites the fans, and I like it. It's a classic, and you know that when you come to Stamford Bridge, that's going to be ringing around the stand. So yeah, that is probably my favourite Chelsea chant, despite the fact that it's probably the most simplistic chant in football.
No, fair enough.
Definitely lacks creativity.
Yeah,
I'm going with. I think that's what gets the stick as well. If you can't really think of anything, you just shout your club's name. Yeah. Mine is. What do you think of Tottenham? By far, it's got to be yours as well, Isaac.
No,
isn't it?
I hate it because I don't want to chant about Tottenham and Arsenal game. You know, that's I prefer I'd go for our new Mikel Arteta chant. That makes me more happy than chanting about.
I think you nicked that one from us though. You nicked
well, to be fair,
the Super Mikel Arteta?
Yeah.
That's
to be fair, I think nicked. I think every club has a version of Chelsea chant.
I think they nicked Chelsea chant.
Arsenal, United.
I'm going for a man in form right now, Rashford. I love Rashford's chant for us. He's doing so well at the minute, so we hear it plenty. Yeah. So yeah, that is all our favourite football chants. Just to round off some of the action that went on this weekend then, we'll start Arsenal taking on Aston Villa and regaining their place at the top of the table with a 4-2 victory. Isaac, Ashley, do you want to just have a few words about
Considering he
this?
didn't watch the game because he was busy doing work. No,
There's no need to say that.
I'm not saying you're a plastic. You were watching the game. You were working.
It's difficult. Those 12:30 kickoffs are difficult. People are doing things during the day. You missed the classic though.
Fortunately, I woke up early, and at half time, life wasn't going good. I smashed a bowl trying to make cereal, so life was plummeting. And then, cut to the 93rd minute. I'm dancing around the room with my mate, and life's good. And to be fair, title race is back on after. We haven't started a podcast episode yet with Arsenal not top of the table, despite losing to City.
Ooh. Yeah.
You know, it's good. And also, you know, suddenly we've made a new signing and he's made an impact pretty quickly. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are as a Chelsea fan on Jorginho, but you know, I'm starting to like him quite well.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, it goes down as an Emi Martinez's own goal, but it was a great strike from Jorginho, and like he's looked like one of Arsenal's best players in the games that he started. He's definitely made a difference, and Arteta's the man who's known him well. Obviously, Pep wanted him at Man City when Mikel Arteta was there as an assistant coach. So Arteta's had an eye on him. He knows the kind of style of play that he brings to a team, and I think he's a great player for Arsenal. At Chelsea, his time kind of came to a natural conclusion. Obviously, he helped us win the Champions League, played a huge part in that. Won the Euros with Italy as well in our backyard. He's a player that's accomplished a lot. He'll bring a lot in terms of experience to this Arsenal squad. But for Chelsea, I feel like fans were kind of not done with Jorginho, but a player that lacks physicality in terms of pace and power, who doesn't really contribute in the final third. I think Chelsea fans are a bit tired and want to see something new. But for Arsenal, he fits perfectly. He can kind of be that shield in front of your back four, as well as providing stuff going forward. So great signing for you guys, and I think it's a good deal all round.
KWEKU, who are your favourites in the title race right now? Or who do you think are definitely?
Well, you know what? I love talking to Arsenal fans about this because, like you said, the old title race is back on, but was it really ever off? You were what, level 1 points of City with a game in hand, and Arsenal fans were bricking it. I get it as well because this is Man City's world, and we're just living in it, especially with Pep Guardiola as a manager. And in his time in football management, he's managed 13 full seasons and won the league title in 10 of those. The only managers to take league titles off of Pep Guardiola are Jurgen Klopp, Jose Mourinho at Real Madrid, and Antonio Conte in Pep's first season in England. And those are 3 world-class managers that are going to go down the pantheon of football history. So the fact that Arsenal are pushing them in the title race this far, credit to Arteta and Arsenal, because no one at the beginning of the season maybe even expected Arsenal to be in the top 4, let alone a title race. So obviously, my tribalism hat on, I hate Arsenal, I don't want Arsenal to win the league, but taking a step back and somebody who works within the media, it's great to see a title race that involves Arsenal, because that's the title race that I remember when I was growing up.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Obviously, Arsenal regained their top spot, but it did come with Manchester City dropping points to Nottingham Forest after a Chris Wood 84th minute equaliser. What did you guys think of that one?
I mean, I'm absolutely delighted. I mean, I look at all these games from an Arsenal perspective, to be honest. Obviously, Man City dominated the game, but it's just, I mean, it's great to see. I just don't really understand how we can't beat City, but Nottingham Forest can make them drop points. It is a little bit beyond me, but no, I'm just... No, it's static, really. I mean,
it's a typical, it's typical, you know, because, you know, you've got the big game to look up to on a Wednesday, and then, you know, you take your eye off the ball a bit against Nottingham Forest, and, I mean, like, they missed, 5 big chances in that game? Yeah. Haaland uncharacteristically misses a sitter, Foden misses a one-on-one, like, it's just one of those games, but, you know, I think, given the way the weekend happened, despite what happened last Wednesday, Arsenal have come out the weekend mentally in a much better place. With the way we won that game and the way City would have conceded late on. Yeah,
and historically as well, City have been perfect, and we've seen an imperfect City side this season for various reasons, whether it's the integration of Haaland in the starting 11, or players not being fit, or just the lack of squad harmony in certain aspects. But going to City ground was never easy, and I know after City beat Arsenal midweek, people thought it was a banker and City were going to go smash Forest at their place, but Forest ain't lost a game at home since September. Chelsea dropped points there. They beat Liverpool there. They're a great team at home. So it was never going to be easy for City. And despite the fact that it was probably one of their most dominant performances in terms of the way they were playing and kind of looking like old City, they couldn't get the result because it's a hard place to go and get results. And it's hard to get 3 points in the Premier League. I'm speaking as a Chelsea fan who's been very, very scarred by this season. And so there's no given. So the fact that City beat Arsenal midweek and then dropped points away at Forest doesn't really surprise me, but this is going to be a classic title race. This is not a title race that we've seen in the last like maybe 4 or 5 years, where the winning team gets between 95 and 100 points. This is going to be like an 85 point, 86 point job, a traditional Barclays Premier League title race. So Arsenal have done what they needed to do. They picked up points on the weekend. You go again, getting the last minute win as well. Nothing feels better than that in football. And then we just see where the cards lay. I feel like Arsenal, you've got to play City again. I know you go to their place, but they're fallible. I've seen Everton go to the Etihad and pick up points. So Arsenal got to be confident. You're top of the league, got a game in hand. The title's in your hands.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit stressful, to be fair.
It's ours to lose at the moment.
Yeah.
Another game that took place on Saturday, we're going to get your thoughts on. Actually, Southampton taking on Chelsea, and Southampton coming away with a win. Two things really. Firstly, what are your thoughts on that game in particular? And secondly, Graham Potter. What are your thoughts there?
Do you know what? It's the writing was on the wall. Do you know when you see like an interim manager and they're always wearing a tracksuit? Like when I saw Southampton's interim manager and he's wearing a turtleneck and a blazer at Stamford Bridge, I knew we were in for some trouble, and they definitely gave us some trouble. Chelsea have just been poor this season. There's no real excuse for it. Obviously, I'm going to back the manager because I like the idea of a long-term project, and like you guys have seen, Arteta finished 8th and 5th, and now he's top of the league. Like I know that he won the FA Cup final in his first season against us to kind of buy him more time. But giving managers time, it just creates that unity. And now you guys love Arteta because of the ups and downs that you've gone through. And Chelsea's very much been a club of instant success. If a manager doesn't work, we sack him, we bring a new one, and normally with the Champions League. But it's a very different season this one. Potter, he's working with a lot of players that have to get used to English football, have to get used to his system. But losing against a team that are bottom of the Premier League at home, and you rest Thiago Silva and Reece James, it just doesn't look good. Southampton are still bottom of the table. They've got 18 points this season. 6 of them are against Chelsea. A third of their points are against us this season. It's not great. It's not great. And we had chances, and you can point to us being XGFC. We saw it against Dortmund. We've seen it in previous games as well. We can't put the ball in the back of the net. But losing at home against Southampton is just unacceptable.
How do you feel about a lot of the Chelsea fans that are sort of slating Graham Potter at the minute, calling for his job? Do you think that it's the right thing to do?
Well, we are. If Chelsea fans can try and deny it as much as they want, but we're a club built in the image of Jose Mourinho. Like obviously Chelsea existed before 2003 when the money came in, but in terms of what Chelsea fans are used to, it's we can accept football that's a bit turgid, football that's not the most exciting, as long as we're winning trophies and winning matches. We've seen that under Thomas Tuchel. The way that we won Champions League wasn't the most pretty. Saw it under Antonio Conte. We won the Premier League, won the FA Cup next season as well. Wasn't the best football. And we saw it under Jose Mourinho in his 2 spells at Chelsea. Not great football, but winning trophies and winning games. Graham Potter's a different type of manager, and I feel like fan frustration stems from the fact that we're not used to this. I would say that Graham Potter is more a Spurs manager, a manager that doesn't need to spend much money because Daniel Levy ain't going to give him much money, doesn't win trophies because we all know that Spurs don't win trophies, and plays traditionally quite good football. But for Chelsea, it's a bit of a culture shock. So we've just got to wait and see. I'm all about giving the manager time, but obviously if these results continue, then he's going to be under more and more pressure because Chelsea fans are expectant.
I think what no one's looking at as well is how hard this job is for Potter at the moment. He's coming like Brighton, like you said, didn't need to spend a lot of money. He can kind of be in charge of that squad with minimal personalities, not many people getting in his way, and he can pretty much work the squad the way he likes. With Chelsea, recently every 5 minutes another superstar's come in and someone to kind of mess up his idea of how he wants Chelsea to play. Like, how is he supposed to work with that? Every now and then something coming in to disrupt it. So I would give him time. But absolutely, he's proven before that he can do something with time as well. He had bad spells at Brighton. We went to that Brighton game when Brighton had lost hadn't won in their last 7 or 8 games.
Just kept missing chances.
And they had a great season by the end of it. So I'd keep him.
I mean, for me, it feels like Chelsea as a club are kind of at a crossroads where it's like, do you continue the pattern or do you go, this is the point where we change it and stick with the manager? Because I found it weird that you went with Potter because it's very uncharacteristic, and I thought maybe Bowley, you got a new one, you got a new approach, but if he sticks with him, that's good, because in my opinion, if I compare it to the Arteta situation, I feel like it does have to get a bit worse to get better, because you've made so many signings, like you can't expect to sign so many players and for them all to just click immediately. And you also need to offload some people in the summer.
The squad is so bloated, and it is frustration. Like as a Chelsea fan, just watching our team week in, week out, just not put the ball in the back of the net. Like I'm crying out for the days of I'm older than you guys, but Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, or after that Didier Drogba, or after that Diego Costa. Like Costa left in 18.
Yeah, something like that.
So we haven't had a striker who scored consistently for us in all competitions for a long time. So it's tough being a Chelsea fan right now. You just got to chin it though. We've had 20 great years. We've had 20 years of winning the biggest trophies and being the biggest team in London. So we'll let you boys have a run at it now, and we'll be back next season.
Saturday obviously ended in quite spectacular fashion. Liverpool taking on Newcastle and winning by 2-0. But that wasn't really the biggest talking point of that game, I don't think. Nick Pope being sent off in crazy fashion. The question on my mind as a Man United fan is, advantage Man United in the Carabao Cup final? It's got to be, right?
It is absolutely, yeah. But someone clear this up for me as well. So the Bravka, he can play in the final?
No, he can't.
So who's in goal for Newcastle?
It's going to be Lewis Karius.
Or Karius.
Yeah.
Wow.
One of those two.
And looking at it, you say advantage Man United. I think in terms of if you look at it from like a script point of view, in my opinion, it's all set up for a Karius man in the match. Saves it on penalties. Also you look back at the start of the season, and when Karius came in, they offered the job to Ben Foster.
Yeah.
And, I don't think he thought if he took that job, he'd be starting in the Carabao Cup final.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and like you say, you saw it on Nick Pope's face. For my money, he's been the best keeper in the Premier League this season. We know how many clean sheets Newcastle have kept. They are tailing off a little bit, and the result against Liverpool was very, very disappointing because now Liverpool closed the gap with a game in hand on Newcastle in fourth, Newcastle fifth now. Spurs won, didn't they?
Yeah.
But it's so disappointing for them because it was all geared towards this League Cup final. Newcastle sacrificed a place in the Champions League just to win that trophy, and Nick Pope's been integral to what they've done this season. So the fact that he's going to miss that final, and you just saw it on his face as well. As soon as he did it, he was just like, he clocked that he was going to get sent off first of all, and he was fine with that. And then he clocked that he was going to miss the cup final, and you felt so sorry for him. So it is advantage Manchester United, but not just because of Nick Pope, just because Man United are in great form. So.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Man United a bit. Obviously, Sunday they beat Leicester 3-0. Poor first half, comfortable second half, I'd say, but it didn't come without a bit of controversy, did it? Rashford obviously continued his world-class form, and Sancho got on the score sheet. But Sabitzer, possibly red card, probably red card, I'd say, for the way he's gone in there. And the second Rashford goal, maybe offside. Are we saying that's offside? Because it's a close one.
It is such a close one.
Yeah, it does feel like over the last few weeks I've been a little less confident in the way they're drawing the lines at the moment. Yeah. Maybe with last week they've gone a bit over eager and gone, okay, let's not be eager. But what I've seen is the criticism that people have gone, they've put the line on his arm, and they clearly say, it's like shoulder or where the shirt ends and.
Should it just not be the closest body part to goal?
No, because you can't play the ball with your arm, so it shouldn't be counted as offside. That's the point. Because if you're pointing like that, for example, that should not be. Right.
So they're counting the shoulder as something that they can play the ball with on the side.
Yeah, because if you score
it's not very common though, is it?
That out, you know what I mean?
It's not clear, and the fact that we're sitting here discussing whether we believe the technology is working is indicative of where VAR is at the moment. It's on its knees. Obviously, you saw Lee Mason resign after poor performances in the VAR booth. And it's just not good enough, really. Like, I was a big proponent of VAR. I was like, bringing technology to help these referees, but there's a purity to football that's been lost because now when a team scores a goal, especially when you're in stands, you can't go for it full metal in terms of like celebrating because you don't know if it's going to be ruled out. And football is the best sport in the world because goals are so hard to come by. When you watch rugby, there's so many tries. When you watch cricket, there's so many runs. When it's basketball, there's so many baskets. When you watch football, there's not that many goals. It average about 2.2 goals a game, I think. And like when you're in the stadium and you want to celebrate a goal, you can't because you're worried that the VAR is going to rule it out for whatever reason. It kills the purity of the game. So unless it's going to be done properly, then I'm all about just getting rid of it because we're just complaining and talking about it every single week.
You'd accept a world without VAR if it meant that you're not always know that the decision's going to be 100%. I know it's been dodgy recently, but can you imagine like we get the repeats of the Lampard goal against Germany? I think.
Yeah, but that's different.
Yeah.
That's goal line technology, and that's technology that works perfect because it's instant. It goes in, it doesn't. Referee knows straight away. VAR, we're waiting for about 3 minutes to work out if it's, and then we wait 3 minutes and the decision's wrong anyway. Yeah. And it just kills the flow of the game. It kills my soul.
I mean, for me, I think it would work better if maybe they were independent from the referees. Like referees retire and going into VAR, and it's the same mindset. If you get people who are coached, purely for VAR, get different mindsets in, get maybe ex-pros in and stuff. Yeah. Because with things they've been getting offsides wrong recently, and that's what should be the clearest thing.
Shouldn't even be like that shouldn't even take a minute to check. That should be an automatic thing. I'm sure there's technology out there that can
they were semi-automated at the World Cup, and I mean, it's going to be expensive, obviously. I mean, if you're installing that at the Vitality, that would take a lot of hardship. But you know, like it's like with that, if it's the biggest league in the world, the technology should be available.
I agree.
So that is pretty much everything there is to talk to in terms of the results. So Friday, the deadline for Manchester United's owners to potential new owners to submit a bid for the club, and there was 2 main bidders. I don't want to butcher the name, but the son of the former Prime Minister of Qatar basically is one of the bidders, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe is the other bidder. There's going to be a lot of talk about this in the next couple of months. I just want to get all of your thoughts on the potential new owners.
Well, let's get your thoughts. You're the Man United fan.
Yeah. So, if you didn't know, the Qatar bid is pretty much 100% of the club. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid is only 69%, which is the amount the Glazers own. Yeah. So they're just trying to take that amount. In my opinion, I tweeted about it. Like I'm very morally split in this instance, because on one hand, I think I want the club to improve. The stadium needs improving. The facilities need improving. Just things need to change. But on the other hand, as someone that was sort of a bit 50-50 about Qatar hosting the World Cup, we have obviously Rainbow Devils, which is our LGBTQ plus group. It's very, very 50-50 at the minute for me. And to say that we're going to have more investment, we had the money anyway. You know, Isaac, I spoke to you about this. You said we have
like I've seen United fans say, you know, Ten Hag's running on pennies at the moment. I've gone, well, that's not really exactly true. In terms of revenue, Man United are the best club to invest in. You know, in terms of how much money you make without owners, like you're already rich. The money isn't the difference, which is why I don't know why the excitement around Qatar is that much over Jim Ratcliffe, because I think the main thing about an owner for you right now is who they are and what they're going to do with the club, because the Glazers obviously have been mismanaging it.
But within that, isn't it been cleared up that the Qatari bid, they are certain, or they have put forward that they will clear the club's debt, but Ratcliffe hasn't confirmed that.
No. And that's important, because the Glazers were taking dividends out of the club, despite the fact that Man United were spending a lot of money. When you have those kind of sugar daddy owners that have kind of no care for spending, we just look at the best teams in the world. We look at PSG, we look at Man City, who've been dominating English football for the last 6 or 7 years. There is a difference when you have that kind of owner. I've seen it with Roman Abramovich and Chelsea in terms of the success it brings. Arsenal having success doing it a different way, but let's not forget that like maybe a year or two ago there was Arsenal fans protesting Cronkies. Yeah. So it's it. Results on the pitch are gone.
I mean, I'd argue he's probably still on that side.
Yeah.
Are you?
Why should it be forgotten just because we won a few games?
I agree. If you're gonna moan,
I'm more kind of thinking, you know what, maybe trust the plan, because the plan's going the right way.
It's a manager's game at the end of the day. The Glazers have been in charge for donkey's years. The Glazers was in charge when Alex Ferguson was in charge. Exactly. He did still win 3 league titles in a row. He did still go to 3 Champions League finals, winning one of them. It's about the appointments made. I think Manchester United have been poorly run from the top down. In terms of like people, the directors of football or the managers, it's just not been right. And if you create or you make those right appointments, then you're gonna have success on the pitch. But it's about whether you want somebody who can come in and spend an endless amount of money. You don't have to have any worries about the stadium being developed. Because like I say, Man United are very, very rich, but why hasn't the stadium been developed?
Yeah.
Like there's things that these state owners can do that these business people can't. Like Jim Ratcliffe, I'm sure had the purest intentions, but he doesn't have as much money as the Qatari royal family. Yeah. So it's a difficult one morally. It's a hard one, because I'm speaking to somebody who Roman Abramovich introduced us into football, and I've seen us win so many trophies on the back of it. But it's tough because, like you say, you've got the Rainbow Devils. There's so many geopolitical issues with bringing in owners from the Middle East. So you just kind of got to weigh up and see what, as a football fan, what you're happy with and what you can stomach and what you can chin.
Well, yeah, what should you put it down to? Should you put it down to, okay, which owners is least worse in terms of human rights and what they've been getting up to? Or do you put it down to who would you actually rather run your club? I think it's just a hard one for all of us. Okay, maybe those two things come hand in hand, but
I mean, the thing is, if you look at it from a business perspective, their bid is better because I mean, it's not, it's confidential, but I'm pretty sure like Qatari sources have tweeted out that it's 5 billion when it's estimated 4 billion value, which does it. That buys the club, and from the plan they put out. Generally, if you take out the words Qatar and everything, it's actually a very good bid. Genuinely, everything they say, they're going to run the club from the ground up. The women's team's going to get way more funding. That kind of approach is quite good, and it just come down to that. With Jim Ratcliffe, he's I guess the view is he's British, he's a United fan, and he may not have the sources, but he's got the passion behind it.
He's a United fan that also bid for Chelsea. I can understand why some United fans. I don't get United fans who are changing their Twitter names to have it with like Qatari flags. I just don't, and I didn't get it when there was Newcastle fans when they got new ownership running around Tyneside with tea towels on their head. Do you know what I mean? I don't think these things should necessarily be celebrated. It is just by the by. We love football. You're not going to stop supporting the team because new owners come in. You've got an affinity. And you're tied to that team for various reasons beyond ownership groups. It's a tough one though, but it's a rat race right now in football. If you look at all these, look at how many teams are up for sale. Like Chelsea were bought within the last year or just over a year. Like Liverpool are up for sale. Man United are up for sale. Like there's a shift in football at the moment. Obviously Newcastle got bought. In my opinion, I think West Ham are the next team to get bought. Got a big enough stadium, got a strong fan base, got a strong history and heritage. There is a rat race right now because the Premier League is the Super League. We kind of staved off that threat of the Super League, and now the Premier League is that, and foreign investors are looking at it like this is where the money is to be made. If you look at the spending in January in terms of transfers, it was just all 95% to Chelsea, but it was all spent in the Premier League. So it's a difficult one. I do think it's a weird. I was talking to one of my hosts at TalkSport, and he was talking about how he's completely against sports washing, which I completely understand in terms of his stance, and how it makes it less competitive. And I was arguing that it actually makes it a little bit more competitive. 2023 is a great demarcation in terms of looking at football pre and post Rowan Abramovich's money. He came in 2003, so it's 20 years. And in those 20 years, 6 different teams have won the Premier League. It's been Manchester United, it's been Arsenal, it's been Chelsea, it's been City, it's been Leicester, and it's been Liverpool. And in the 20 years prior to that, so from 1983 to 2003, 6 teams won it as well. It was Liverpool, it was Everton, it was Leeds, it was Manchester United, it was Blackburn, it was Arsenal. And so it's not got less competitive. If anything, if the money didn't come in, Man City wouldn't have won the league title. Chelsea wouldn't have won the league title. In the 90s, it was just Arsenal and Manchester United winning the league title. So it has kind of made it a bit more competitive at the highest level. But for the rest of the Premier League, and that if you haven't got that owner, it does make it more difficult to compete.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does. I mean, these countries, whether it's on a moral background or not, they're going to be driven to get the best results they can. They want to put their mark on things. I mean, the Qatari bid as well, because I think the group that owns PSG, they wanted to get into the Premier League. I think they went for Spurs a couple of years ago, but obviously you can't have 2 teams, or the majority shareholder of a club can't have 2 teams in the same European competition.
They are
is that right?
Europe, but I think with the Qatar bidders, they've kind of clarified they're disconnected.
It's a different company, But Ratcliffe has got Nice, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I was going to say about that.
He's just got to make it Champions League.
Yeah, he has ownership of Nice as well, and I think in a way that it has its negatives, but in a way I think that's quite a positive thing. I like. Obviously, I know Arsenal have a few connections across the globe in terms of different clubs as well.
There's one football club, and then the rest of them are the NFL teams. So,
but I think with Jim Ratcliffe, the fact that he owns another club, I don't know how necessarily well run Nice are, but I think in a way that just shows that he has that sort of experience behind him. With the Qatar bid, I just there's a bit of me that thinks it could go any way, and a little bit of me as well thinks that the Glazers would spite us in a way and go, hey, let's get someone that's actually worse than us so that we look better in the long run. Maybe that's just my my disliking of.
Did you
of the
actually hear
Glazers.
as well that there was the siblings of the Glazers? I think it's Avi and Joel. I don't know exactly who they are, but I read that the Glazers, another part of the Glazer family, had grown quite attached to the club, and they wanted to actually outbid their older siblings, and so it would still be run by the Glazers, but their cousins or something like that.
It sounds like Succession. Succession. It's crazy. It's going to be exciting to see though. It's exciting times in terms of like the Premier League, because Manchester United are already a powerhouse. Erik ten Hag's obviously a great manager. You've got a great manager there. You've probably got an influx of funds coming in, and you don't need any more, but you've got more coming in probably. And so the Premier League is going to be very, very interesting for the next couple of years. You've got Newcastle who are coming. You've got City who are already there. Liverpool are going to come again if they get new owners. Who are those new owners going to be? And Chelsea have got seemingly an endless pot of funds. So I'm not too sure where the Premier League is going to be in 5 or 6 years, but it's going to be exciting.
I can imagine if whoever gets Manchester United, the sort of loser in this race will go after a team like Liverpool, and then
well, like Ratcliffe did in Man United and Chelsea.
It does start a domino effect, and I mean, from my perspective, it makes me a little bit anxious because I look at this season and go, even though I think my club's doing well and I think it's going to keep getting better, it's almost like win it before the race becomes not 2 teams, 5, 6. Like the title race, if Liverpool get their funding, Chelsea progress a bit more, it's ridiculous, and it means like the only big 6 team waiting for that big dump of money is kind of Tottenham. But that's probably not going to happen with their owner, is it? With Levy.
I feel like we don't know enough right now. As time progresses, we're going to know more and more about what these people or groups or whatever are trying to do with the club. I just want to know, each of you, if you were in this situation, who would you want running your clubs?
What? So I'm doing it from a Manchester United perspective. I'm not the Glazers. I'm Manchester United.
Yes.
Okay, right. Well, I'd think I'd want. Right. Okay.
Be honest.
Be honest.
Be honest.
I don't know what's better, money or experience in football. Because like the Qatar are going to bring in more money, but then Ratcliffe's been with Nice. I think I'm going to go with Ratcliffe because I like the idea of he's going to put Manchester back into Manchester United. I like that a lot.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, the football experience is good. The fact that he's British and he has that perspective is good. But the fact that the Qataris are paying off the debt, which is all you've talked about for a year. You've talked about we've got owners who take money out of our club, and the fact that they could literally solve that problem like that and then just have it no longer an issue. The fact they can wipe away all your problems and look forward. From a purely business perspective, there is only one answer. It's the Qataris. That is literally the only answer. And it just comes into the problem of how big is that debt problem. And if it is as big as you all say it is, then genuinely the Qataris kind of have to be it. As bad as it feels from that perspective, it kind of feels like it's too good an option to take down.
Yeah, morally, you all know what the issue is with the Qataris, but I just think where football's going, and it's peak, it shouldn't be the way, but like you just got to get on the train because it's inevitably going to go there. And we'll talk about the other clubs that have not been bought. So currently Newcastle owned by a Middle Eastern club, Middle Eastern group, so City, and if you look at it, Spurs would probably, we talked about the Qatari interest in Spurs before, that's probably going to go that way as well. In Manchester United, Jim Ratcliffe, what is it, 69% he wants to buy the club?
Yeah.
It's not enough. It's not enough, and you need a stadium redevelopment. You need so much done. It's the Qataris.
Yeah. Cool.
You're not dodging that. Come on.
Oh, you want me to? Okay. Well, it's hard because, like I said, morally, I'm torn. I think
Someone's got a gun to your head right now.
For me, I want to know more of what Jim Ratcliffe has to say. I do want to know more of what he has to offer, because I mean he is one of the richest men in Britain. There's no sign pointing to he can't get rid of the debt. I just don't think we know enough about him right now. I think if he can guarantee that the debt is gone as well, I think he's probably the better option for a overall standpoint, because obviously I mentioned the Rainbow Devils. They've put out a statement saying they don't really agree with the Qatar bid. What happens then? Do they just pack up and say no, we're not involved anymore? Well, I don't really know. It's a hard situation. We need to know more. But for me, I think Jim Ratcliffe is probably the one for me.
We got there. We got there.
Hey you!
Yeah?
Yes, you!
How did you get in my house?
Do you like YouTube?
Yeah?
Sometimes find it a bit dull?
No, I love YouTube.
Then you should subscribe to the Football in Question YouTube channel.
Why?
They've got podcast clips, original content, and also they have your family hostage.
What?
Like I said, subscribe now!
If you want to see your family again, subscribe now.
Mum?
Right, let's move on. But first, it's Jordan's Fact of the Week. Every week I come with a fact just about football. Anything. And just to try and impress the other two and impress the audience. So this week I've gone with a very interesting fact, I think. Did you know, while manager of Rangers, Alex McLeish, rejected the chance to buy a young Lionel Messi, but the reason he rejected that, the reason it was put forward to him, because his son was playing Football Manager. He was the manager of Barcelona at Football Manager, and then 13-year-old Lionel Messi was one of his star players, so he asked his dad to sign him for Rangers, to which his dad just sort of waved it off and was like, no, that's kind of cute, you know. So what could have been?
I mean, I'd just like to check, is that son, Will still? Because he's obviously gone on to bigger and better things.
Yeah. That's a good fact. I've heard that one. And again, for you young kids, it was Championship Manager back in the day.
Right, so let's move on then. Obviously, we go on to our debate for the episode. This week, we're talking about the most satisfying goal in football history. Ashley, do you want to start?
Yeah, but I'm going to be that one that lists off a couple and then eventually decides on what he's going to go for. I wanted to go for Jack Wilshere's goal against Norwich. It is my most satisfying goal originally, but I've changed my mind now.
Yeah, because if I give you a reason.
I wanted to go, I'll get there. I wanted to go Lacazette against Everton, the one I saw in the stadium, don't know if you're aware. Stankovic against Bayern Munich, Townsend against Man City has got his history on this podcast, but I've gone for John McGinn's volley against Sheffield Wednesday. Are we all aware of this?
Yes.
We all know the one. It's just stunning. The way he just positions his body, left-footed, off the crossbar volley from outside the box, is stunning. I don't think it gets beaten.
Isaac, you sort of had a little...
Yeah.
We've heard yours already.
Yeah, it's Jack Wilshere against Norwich, because obviously he tried to book it in the group chat, and I told him I already booked it when I had a conversation with him 3 days prior.
They live with each other. He forgets that advantage.
I do get an advantage when he hosts and when I host, but for me, I wasn't in the stadium, unfortunately. For Jack Wilshere against Norwich, I wasn't, but I was watching it on telly, and as goals go, it's probably like the perfect move. One touch from the halfway line, it's just boom, boom, boom. The heel flicks as well, the touches that are made are difficult in itself. But also the finish, he's not even running, he's not even shot. It's like he's come in his stride and the keeper can't move. And, as it's satisfying just because of how helpless, I know it's Norwich, but but still, it's just like the perfect move, like what it looks like.
It's incredible.
Who have you gone with?
I'll list a few as well. I'll go with the ones I've been in the stadium for. So Ronaldinho's toe punt against Chelsea in 2005 was the Stamford Bridge on that day. One of the most iconic goals, and one of those goals that next day at the park, everybody's trying.
Yeah.
No one could do it. An incredible goal. Ramirez's goal in the Champions League semi-final again against Barcelona at Camp Nou. I was there in the gods, and it was at our end as well, and it was absolutely incredible. The Frank Lampard through ball and the Ramirez chip the goal that gave us hope, and we held on for the second half and beat the best team in the world in their backyard and went on to win the Champions League. One of my favourite goals ever. Marco Essien, 2006 December, Chelsea on a 51 game unbeaten run at Stamford Bridge against Arsenal to salvage a 1-1 draw. We didn't win the league that season, but that was one of the most iconic goals in my time as supporting Chelsea, especially he's Ghanaian, he's one of my favourite Chelsea players. But the goal I'm going for is the first goal that really transcended football when I was growing up. It was 2002, Zinedine Zidane's volley against Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League final. Ball comes in from the left, from Roberto Carlos, it's lofted in, it's not the best ball in the world, edge of the box and into Zidane on his weak foot volley, top corner. One of the most iconic goals ever. I can't even it hurts my groin thinking about getting my leg that high. That sealed the Real Madrid winning that game and winning their 9th ever Champions League. And it took Real Madrid 12 years to win a Champions League after that. So really embedded in history, that goal, and scored by one of the best players of all time. So that's my satisfying goal ever.
For me, I have gone for one in the 2018 World Cup round of 16, Benjamin Pavard's volley against Argentina. I think just the way he hits it and the way the ball moves, I wouldn't say it's like sort of slow motion, but the way it moves, it's just...
It catches the air.
Yeah, it's just so lovely, the way he hits it and the way it goes into the back of the net. And the knee slide as well, I think is absolutely perfect, so it just rounds it off.
Can I throw in one honourable mention for a goal score for your lot? Aaron Ramsey. I can't remember who it was against. It's European football. It's
Galatasaray.
Was it Galatasaray?
What was it not?
Volleys at majors.
Yeah. Where it's almost like leaning back and it flies in the most unnatural angle. I've never seen a goal like that in my life. I can't remember who it was against, but that was one of the most satisfying goals.
That was Galatasaray away.
Yeah.
And I was so annoyed when it didn't even get nominated for Puskas that year.
That's unbelievable.
That is unreal. Yeah. I've already noticed the pattern a little bit, right? So does KWEKU understand the concept of this?
Yeah.
Right, so we're debating whose is the best, right? So there's a pattern here, and someone has got the old one out. Yeah. Yours is a volley. Yours is a volley. Mine's a volley. Why is a passing team goal more satisfying than a volley?
Why did you want to go with my pick in the first place? You've got no footstep. But I think the fact that it's satisfying because in football we're trying to pass, we're trying to beat your opponent playing football. And a volley is a freak of nature. It's one player just completely, breaking the rules and going jump from 30 yards and going to get a goal in. It's irregular, whereas a passing move is really what most teams are trying to do. And the fact that it's like the perfect move, it's such a tight space and it's always the right position. It's like clockwork, like most of the way it works. And it's peak Wenger ball realistically.
But John McGinn's comes off the crossbar.
Oh,
here's the thing.
Are you telling me if Jack Wilshere at the end absolutely blasts it?
It would have been that much nicer if it came off the crossbar. Yeah. I'm not going to lie.
I think the move is just nice because he passes it into an net, which I'd argue is as satisfying.
So I sort of think it's how you define satisfying, because do you define a strike that's really powerful that comes off the crossbar as satisfying?
It's accurate, it's powerful.
If you want to talk about it, technically mine is a volley. Technically.
Okay, actually, yeah, fair enough.
He doesn't blast it.
Yeah, you're right.
But he if anything, it's a bad touch if you want to have a criticism.
So we've reached one conclusion: volleys are the most satisfying goal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It takes so much skill, to time it and to just hit.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just how are we defining what's satisfying?
I think it's, and the quote used for my goal is the commentator went, "I could watch that goal all day long." Like, could you watch your goal over and over again? Yeah. Because it's like you watch it and you just think, Jesus.
I think you can watch all of these all day long.
Yeah.
All right, okay. All right.
If I'm going to talk about Pavards realistically, I'll say it on the podcast because I say it to you in person. One thing which I think is a little bit disrespectful is that there was a goal which was similar technique scored in the same tournament in the group stage that never gets talked about, and I always loved the goal, which is Nacho Fernandes against Portugal. Yeah. He did a very similar thing, and it instead of going lofting, slowly, helplessly into the top corner, he's blasted posting in. And if we're going to talk about posting in, I'm not trying to beat you here with your own stick, but I personally loved that goal a bit more. Also maybe because the game was mental, but
I also feel like with goals, the stature of the game matters. There's a reason why my one was Zinedine Zidane in the Champions League final. So John McGinn's as great as it was, I don't know, the stakes are just not as high.
I'll do my carry on talking. I'll do my research.
Did Villa go out that year?
They did, yeah.
That was the
and that was, I think it was on McGinn's debut as well that he scored that goal.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, that's what debut. Then
Can we fact check that?
Can we fact
check? I think with mine, round of 16 of the World Cup, I think is Arsenal Norwich a big.
Well, at the time, it put us top of the table. And that season, we were top more than anyone else.
Did you go on to win it?
City. It was Gerrard's slip that year.
That irritated me that you asked me.
At the end of the day, mine realistically means the least because we got fourth that year. But
are we taking it down to a moment? Because
I don't think so. It's like it's talking about the actual goal itself. Like when you've played football, if you connect with a ball properly, you just think that's it's a nice feeling, and that's what the goal's like.
Yeah, but then so. I get your points are very, very valid, but let's look at the players we're talking about. You're talking about John McGinn, you're talking about Pavard, you're talking about Jack Wilshere. I don't want to disrespect Jack Wilshere. Talking about Zinedine Zidane, all-time in the Champions League final. Volley comes in for another all-time great Roberto Carlos, the cross comes in for Roberto Carlos, and he volleys at Hampden Park to win the Champions League for Real Madrid. I don't know if you get much better than that. I don't know. It's open to debate, but I think my one wins.
I do think though, out of all the goals, he's got a point. I think Zidane's goal is the hardest to do.
Yeah.
It is the
On his weak foot.
It's the most difficult. And I'd also just like to clarify one thing. I was completely waffling. It wasn't on his debut at all. But it did win Championship Goal of the Season, which none of yours can claim.
Yeah. Mine's a World Cup goal of the competition. Goal of the tournament, the World Cup.
This is a goal of...
I mean,
when is Scotland going to get
goal season with Archer is a better award.
I don't want to look at this awards and this goal probably won, but it's one of the greatest goals of all time. And until Gareth Bale scored that overhead kick against Real Madrid, I think it's, in my opinion, it's great.
Yeah, it is up there with that Gareth Bale goal as well.
Yeah.
It's really tough to kind of say anything. Arguably, the only thing unsatisfactory of it is how ridiculous the foot position is.
Has he got too much time there as the ball's coming down?
Oh no, but if I'm trying that, I'm pulling my groin. I'm in hospital for 2 weeks.
Is that high foot? Would you say that's high foot?
Yeah.
So should it count? Should it count?
If he was challenged, he would have got a booking.
Well, it's 2002, so I'd say not. But it's really hard to debate that.
Yeah, no, I agree. To be fair, I think I agree. It's the fact that it's so iconic as well. For a Champions League goal, I can't disagree. I can't lie.
Yeah, I'm siding with KWEKU. He's won.
I mean, it's a bit annoying. It's the only goal here, which we've said, which actually I wasn't alive when it happened. So,
making me feel so old. Making me feel so old. I was 8 years old, and literally the next day we're trying to practice that goal. It was
Could you pull it off?
Nah, because ball comes in, and bear in mind we're 8, so my mate's throwing it in, and then I'm trying to do it on my right foot, and it's just. I think it's such an unnatural goal because the ball comes in from the left-hand side, but he takes it on his left. It's bizarre beauty, man. It's just an unbelievable goal by an unbelievable player. One of my favourite players of all time.
So we've come to our conclusion. Let us know what you think. Which goal is the most satisfying goal? But for us, it's that Zidane goal. So we are on to our final section of the episode, as we normally end an episode with a quiz. Isaac and Ashley are normally the ones that are winning the quizzes, so this is going to be an intense battle.
I think they'll probably win this one as well, man.
This is going to be good. This is going to be a very good quiz.
I'm not backing myself. Here we go.
So 10 questions. First, to get started, what are your buzzer noises?
Bang.
Ding.
Oh, okay. I can't wait for that.
So we'll start off. Just so you guys know, it's just a general football quiz. Just how much do you know? Pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. Question 1: which country is the only country to play in 3 World Cup finals but not win it?
Bang.
Yes.
Netherlands.
Correct.
Get in.
Things I know that as well.
Get in.
1-0 to Ashley straight off the bat.
Damn.
We'll go straight on to question 2.
This means a lot to us.
Yeah, I'm annoyed I didn't say quick enough.
So, question 2. First goalkeeper to score a Premier League goal was who? Yes.
Peter Schmeichel.
Correct. It is Peter
I didn't ask because I
Schmeichel.
thought Peter Schmeichel's the obvious one.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, we're still early days in the quiz, so still plenty to go. We've got 1-1 none right now. So, next question. Who was the first player to score a Premier League hat-trick for Tottenham? Yes.
I'm going to say Ted Sheringham.
Correct. It's Teddy Sheringham.
God, it's running away with it now.
Jesus Christ.
It's a tight one. Isaac, not on the board yet. I'm surprised.
I still got the first 2.
We're flying through these questions right now. So, next question. Manchester United haven't got a new number 7 yet after Ronaldo's departure. But after he left the first time around, who took the number 7 shirt?
Ding.
KWEKU.
Nani.
Incorrect. Isaac, I'm going to pass it over to you because you did ding.
Valencia.
Incorrect.
Can I have a shout?
Yeah, go for it.
Tevez?
No.
Okay.
It was 2009, wasn't it?
Yeah, the answer, Michael Owen.
Oh no!
Michael Owen.
Well, no, but everyone forgets he played for United. So was it? It was Valencia after that, wasn't it? And then,
yeah. So Michael Owen. No one gets on the board there. On to, what question is this now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Question 5, halfway through. Who was the last team to have won the Europa League, having finished third in their Champions League group? Bit of a tougher question. Yeah.
Chelsea.
Incorrect.
Bang. Was it Sevilla?
No.
Dean Villarreal.
No.
Oh,
Was it United?
No.
Okay.
It's Atletico Madrid.
Right.
They beat Marseille
that's
3-0
the
in
year
the
we got to
final
semis.
in 2017-18. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Atletico
that
Madrid.
Literally, we played them, so.
That was heartbreaking.
Turning out to be quite a tough quiz after all. So, on to the next question. Score, we have 1 for Ashley, 2 for KWEKU, and 0 for Isaac. It's a poor display from you, Isaac. I was expecting more from you.
I should have. The early questions were where
Yeah.
it should have been. Chances should have been taken.
Next question. In what year was the first FA Cup final that was contested by 2 non-British or Irish managers? First one.
Sorry, say the question again.
In what year was the first FA Cup final that was contested by 2 non-British or Irish managers?
Ooh.
So it is a tough question.
Okay, let me think about this.
Just think about FA Cup finals over the years.
Yeah.
How far back can you go?
Ding. 2017.
Incorrect. The first one. The first one.
I'm just thinking because foreign managers came in, 90s, and I don't know who the 90s FA Cup winners were for sure. So I went 2017.
It's got to be
which was Wenger Conte.
Yeah.
Because I thought year before that.
It's got to be early 2000s, surely.
2002.
Incorrect.
Bang.
Yes.
2003.
No. 2002 is so close. It's 2001.
2001 is Arsenal Liverpool, isn't it?
Wenger v Houllier.
Yeah. Oh, no,
Arsenal was on my
literally,
mind.
I was thinking,
That's so
the only
close.
finals I could think of were Arsenal United, and Fergie obviously holds that, so I went for Wenger Conte.
Yeah.
Oh mate, that's so annoying.
That's such a good guess as well.
very-
Very unlucky.
2003, that was Southampton as well, I think. We played.
Yeah, you play Southampton
That's-
under the roof.
Yeah. Not many questions left.
I'm annoyed at this. I'm annoyed that was these questions right, man.
Is this question 7 or question 8?
Yeah, I think it's question 7.
And it's 2-1-1. No,
Yeah.
2-1-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, next question. What European team is sometimes referred to as FC Hollywood?
By Munich.
Correct.
I'll be honest, I've not heard
I
that
didn't
one.
even know.
I was going to go for Brentford because they're sponsor.
The,
European. Right.
the gap is a little bit bigger. We only have 3 questions left, sorry. Isaac, you're gonna have to get some points on the board here.
I think the dub's kind of out of question there.
Next question. Which player has David Moyes signed on 4 different occasions throughout his career? The most he's ever signed one player in particular. Think about a couple of managerial stints that David Moyes has had over his career. He signed this player 4 times.
I'm trying to think of someone who's been.
Bang.
Yes.
Oh, I think I've got this horrifically wrong. Is it Januzaj?
It's not Januzaj.
Thank God, because I was thinking that. Oh, I've got no clue. I'm trying to think if he signed anyone at West Ham. Who's crap. What?
Who knows?
4 times.
Yeah, 4 times.
So Everton, obviously. Man United, probably. It's not the obvious one that comes to mind. It's not
Yeah.
big hair. You know, like,
Okay, let me.
oh my.
I might have to push you both for an answer here.
Oh, this is.
Okay.
Anyone gonna get in? Hazard a guess?
Is that him? Oh my word.
Just like Fellaini was just not Fellaini.
No, it's not Fellaini. It's not Fellaini.
So bloody.
Isaac, I'm gonna have to push you for an answer now.
Oh, bloody Tim Cahill. I don't know.
Incorrect. The answer is Stephen Pienaar.
Oh, God.
He signed him 3 times at Everton,
oh my.
and once at Sunderland.
Jesus.
So
Oh my word.
yeah. Stephen
See, I
Pienaar.
was imagining he's done it at four clubs, like.
Yeah,
Oh.
no. He went on loan. I think it included loans when I found this. So I think he went on loan once. Then he obviously left, came back, signed, then went to Tottenham, loaned back in to Everton, And then at Sunderland, he signed him there as well.
That's a good fact.
That's actually so freaky. That's
So,
a good one.
I don't think it's possible for you to win now, Isaac.
No.
Ashley, it's just about catching up. 2 questions left. Next question. Name one team to have finished second in their league and lost the Champions League final in the same season. Yes.
Bayer Leverkusen.
Is correct. That is one of them.
I knew it. I could call him.
Yeah, because I might as well stop you. That's the best I can do.
So
do you, any more that you know? Liverpool yet?
Oh, must be another one.
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Finished
teams.
second and won the Champions
And
lost
lost
the Champions League final.
Oh, Chelsea.
Chelsea, yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, you're not getting any points for these, so I'll just name them.
Borussia Dortmund.
Dortmund, yeah. We've got Leverkusen, Bayern Munich in 11-12, Dortmund, obviously, then Chelsea, Liverpool, and AC Milan as well. Finished second in the league and lost the Champions League final. So I think that might be it now. Because you took that question before Ashley could get in there.
So I've got someone on the board and stopped him from doing something.
Just to end off, I did have this last question. Just let's see who can get it. By footballing law, goalkeepers must remain on the goal line, facing the taker, and between the goalposts. But what else are they prohibited from doing while waiting for a penalty to be taken?
Bang, have a wee.
It is probably true.
Yeah, thank you. I have a point.
Shaking the crossbar.
I'll give you that actually. It's touching the goalposts.
They do that all the time.
Yeah, I didn't realise that.
It's just like the 6-second rule. It's not really refereed.
So that ends the quiz.
Oh my word.
The score is 1 for Ashley, 1 for Isaac, and 4 for KWEKU. Congratulations. I did have a bonus question if you guys wanted to hear that as well.
Like closest to or?
Yeah, it was the closest to. Romelu Lukaku has the highest combined transfer fee, but in euros, what is Lukaku's combined fee?
Oh my bloody God.
It's a hard one. Just hazard a guess.
308 million.
Fairly good guess, to be fair.
I was at 327 million.
A very good guess as well.
340 million.
333.36 million.
He's 5 on
he's closer.
Yeah.
So,
guessing first is the worst thing. Everyone guesses around it.
so we have our winner. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You've trumped the boys.
The thing is, I'm very competitive, and I'm trying to pretend as if I don't care, but I'm buzzing with that. Make sure you send me the footage of that as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that is the episode of The Footballing Question. We hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed being on for the episode. And remember to check out all our socials and stuff. We'll put some of your links in the description as well. And yeah, we will see you next time for another episode of The Footballing Question.
Remember to follow us on all of our socials. We are The Footballing Question on YouTube and Spotify, as well as TFQ_podcast on Twitter.
On Facebook, we are The Footballing Question, and on TikTok, we are TFQ Podcast.
And Instagram, TFQ Podcast.